Lisa Stuckless is the Maximo EAM offering manager and a senior leader within IBM's product management organization, bringing over 20 years of experience across the Maximo portfolio. She leads strategic initiatives focused on licensing and product direction for the Maximo Application Suite and actively engages with the global Maximo community, sharing insights into the product roadmap and IBM's continued investments to expand and enhance the suite's capabilities. With her deep expertise and passion for innovation, Lisa continues to shape how organizations optimize asset management through technology. Ladies and gentlemen, get ready to explore the latest advancements and strategic direction of the Maximo Application Suite with Lisa Stuckless.
Thank you. And before I get into that, I've got a couple of asks that were required of me. So I want to take a minute and really go through part of our IBM Champions. So IBM Champions are people that have and are willing to share their knowledge, their skill set, their lessons learned with you, everybody here that uses our technology at IBM. So what they do and what they provide for us are, wealth of knowledge, wealth of skill set. You probably have champions that you know of that go out and present, do lessons learned, go to user groups. They do everything and are really those strategic people that have the answers and are really passionate about, in our case, whether it be Maximo or Tririga, they're really passionate about our solutions. So if you know somebody that is like that, or if you yourself are like that, right now we have the ability to do IBM nominations for 2025 for IBM Champions. So they make a difference. They're passionate about our solution. So I would really say if you know somebody around that you feel that fits these qualifications, that you should be going out there and nominating. Nominations are open until November 21st. So thank you. Next. So what I have here is for those, the IBM team wants to thank you guys very much for coming out. If you were over at the IBM booth, there was a draw, and we did the draw. So here we go, drum roll. And I hope I'm pronouncing this properly. Asim Akram from Goulburn Murray Water. If they can come up. So congratulations. And if you want to see this drone in action, just go check out the IBM booth. So congratulations. Okay, so I'm just going to get my phone out of the way, or else I'm just going to step on it here. Let's get started. Okay, this is what you guys are all here for. So let's get started. I am trying to hit forward.
People are a puzzle, each piece unique, yet somehow connected.
Oh,
we walk different paths.
Did I do that wrong?
I think that was the Champions video.
Oh, so that should have been going first? Sorry, Johannes. We obviously didn't do a practice run. What do you want to do? Do you want me to spiel afterwards? Okay, go ahead. Okay, so we are doing the product roadmap, obviously future. So this is our legalese. I'm sure you guys have all seen on every IBM solution that we had. So 40 years. Maximo is celebrating 40 years. Now, I have not been here for the 40 years, but I have been here for more than half of those 40 years. And I have to say that I am very proud of what we've accomplished with the Maximo and where we are today. So 2025, we also introduced the Maximo Application Suite 9.1, and we'll dive into some of the capabilities that we introduced in 9.1, but also capabilities that we're working on right now. In 9.1, we brought in Tririga, now renamed Real Estate and Facilities. So that was a big accomplishment, I'm going to say, from a Maximo perspective. And generative AI, I apologize for that. And if you were in Stan's session there before lunch, he deep dived into AI and what we're doing with AI moving forward, and I'll highlight that as well as part of the roadmap. So 40 years of experience that we've done with Maximo. So back in 1985, it was really created. I joined when it was PSDI. Then we were renamed MRO Software. MRO Software was acquired by IBM in 2006, Tririga 2011, and then we've just been adding more and more capabilities to the application suite through acquisitions and 40 years of leadership in this space, and all because of you, our customers. So thank you guys very much. So I'm going to dive into the Maximo Application Suite. Yes, we've been around for 40 years, but I really want to talk about the Application Suite and the investment that we've done in the Application Suite in the last 5+ years, because we really have expanded and grown the Application Suite, just not in an EAM space, but from an asset performance perspective, an asset investment planning perspective, from mobility for field service management. So a lot of investment and a lot of growth in the Maximo Application Suite, and I'm going to walk you through all of that today. So I think you saw one of these slides, perhaps even Kendra did it. Part of being 40 years and part of being a leader in this space is us listening to you, our customers, and us understanding the technology is out there and reinventing ourselves in order to be sustainable for your business requirements out there. We are very, very proud of the fact that we are a leader in the EAM space. We are a leader in the APM space. We are a leader in the IWMS space, which is Tririga. And we are a leader now that just came out in field service management space as well. So we are very proud of that. And we're very happy that you, our customers, when we do these quadrants, they are not easy. There's a lot of questions, there's a lot of demos, and they are going out asking you, our customers, of actual real feedback. So, us making a leader in all of these spaces is really, really substantial. And in the application suite, and I'm not sure if you guys understand this, or hopefully you do, you have access to all of this as part of the application suite, as part of your app points. You have the ability to land and expand. You can land into manage, you can expand into health, you can expand into real estate and facilities with real estate and facilities itself, and utilize field service management. This is access that you have across the board with the new licensing model in the application suite. So feedback as well. We get a lot of questions when we create our application suite, and it's called ideas now. Previously, it would have been called requests for enhancements, and I get a lot of questions going, I put this idea in, I put these requests in, what happens, where does it go? So we have a team of product managers, developers, designers that meet and go through all of these ideas that you have brought forward to us. We review them. Some of them are great that fit into our strategic roadmap for the next release. Some of them you will probably see that go into future consideration. It was a fantastic idea, but perhaps it's going to go into next year's release or the release after that when we focus on that type of feature functionality. We're happy to say that in 9.1, 173 ideas that came to us from you, our customers, were part of our solution. They ranged from our platform to manage to mobility. There was about, almost 1,142 votes, because you can vote on these ideas. So if you think somebody's idea is great, go ahead, go in and vote for them. The highest voting one was 63 votes. So you are going to see, as we build out the solution, that we are going to be looking more and more into these ideas. And just because we set it into future doesn't mean it wasn't a great idea. It just means we have to understand what our capacity is for the next release, what we're focusing on, and then strategically we're going to be looking at these ideas that come in and get them shuffled into the next release, et cetera. So this is probably a chart that you have seen throughout the last day and a half, and it's really around asset lifecycle management. So now that you see the depth and breadth of the Maximo Application Suite, whether it's EAM, APM, or even real estate and facilities, you will see that we have covered, from an asset lifecycle management perspective, the planning of your assets, the operating of your assets, and the optimization of your assets. So how does that all kind of work together? And what I'm going to be taking you through today from a roadmap perspective is planning what feature functionality fits into the planning part of asset lifecycle management in the application suite, the operating part, and the optimization part. Now, that is features, solutions that we have in the application suite. Part of the application suite itself is also the different asset classes. So whether or not your asset classes are in facilities, or in IT, or in industries, or linear assets, the depth and breadth of the application suite fits all of those different types of assets themselves. We also have integrations and feature functionality from an environmental perspective, whether or not we're integrating to Invisi, emissions, et cetera. All of that is also part of the application suite itself. And then industry solutions. Now, 40 years, bit of history here around industry solutions. We started our industry solutions in the late 1990s. That would be oil and gas and transportation. It moved into nuclear and utilities and life sciences in the early 2000s. Then we introduced some add-ons, whether it was Asset Configuration Manager or Aviation in the later 2010s. And then our last industry solution was Civil Infrastructure. So we have always invested based upon feedback from you, our customers, on specific industries and specific feature functionality to put into the application suite itself. So you're going to see throughout this deck as well our next phase of how do we modernize oil and gas, how do we modernize certain industry solutions within the application suite itself, especially now that the application suite is growing, how do they interact for a seamless, I'm going to say, user experience across the board utilizing these industry solutions. And then sitting on top of all of the application suite is AI. So we're going to be talking more about AI later on in the deck. But I'm going to say when we take a step back from an application suite perspective, and even from a Maximo perspective of 40 years, you would have seen our advancements, if you've been around for 40 years, around technology, around what we've put into the suite, and even yourselves, the impact of technology on our lives. And there's certain technologies out there, whether it is smartphones that you guys all utilize, it's not only impacted your private life, but your work life itself. Everybody has a smartphone. So mobility had a big impact from a technology perspective. Mapping. Who doesn't utilize maps on their smartphone, right? Whether it be Google Map, for us, Esri, spatial interactions. So mapping is a technology as well. AI is one of those technologies that we're bringing into the suite, and I bet you it's a technology that you guys are utilizing in your personal lives as well. And there's those technologies that you can see having impact across the board. So you're going to see infusion of AI within the application suite itself, not only in our last 9.1 release, but just moving forward from an AI perspective. Okay, let's get started into the planning phase of the application suite. So we introduced in the 9.1 timeframe, and you may have been involved in some of these presentations that Stan had done, I think it was yesterday, around AIP, and it's really around the planning of your assets. We're really good at repairing our assets, but what about refurbish or replacing the assets? How do I start planning and understanding that part of my investment planning around my assets? The thing with AIP is it's built for manage. It is an add-on to manage. All of the underlying data is managed. So it's not a separate tool set that you go out and do your planning and then come back and enter it into the application suite. This is an add-on that is part of 9.1 that, again, you have access to. You can implement AIP and determine certain asset classes that you want to go after, and that tool is there for you to utilize. So we introduced it in 9.1. So 9.1, by the way, came out in June of 2025, just so I keep on talking about 9.1, but some of you guys might not even know when it came out. So it came out in June of 2025. We laid down the framework of AIP in the June release, whether it is your asset types that you're doing, your what is the value framework, and the strategic aspect of it. Now, AIP also uses Optimiser. So those in the room that perhaps utilize our scheduler application are familiar with the Optimiser solution. It utilizes the same Optimiser solution. We built models that are specific for AIP. That came out in our September patch for 9.1. So the combination of the both now, if you get to the September patch, will give you a full rounded solution for AIP and understanding how you do that refurbish or replacement of the assets that you have. We're coming out with another patch, I guess, in the Q1 timeframe. And I didn't bring my glasses, so I apologize. Getting old, that 20 plus years of being in Maximo. So, key usability improvements that we're coming out with in the 9.1. We're doing some more in a 9.2 phase of just enhancing AIP, just like any solution as we go out there. This is brand new. Phil, our product manager, is out there talking to you, our customers, demoing it, showing it, getting feedback, getting ideas around it, and you're just going to see more and more enhancements that come into AIP based upon you, our customers, and the feedback of what we want to do in order to make it better. So that's what we're doing from an investment planning perspective. Capital planning. So capital planning came in with real estate and facilities in the 9.1 timeframe. So this is all about budgeting and prioritizing. Very specifically, because it came out of real estate and facilities for facilities management, but it's capital planning. So we have the ability to do capital planning now within the application suite itself. And again, you guys have access to this feature functionality if this is an area that you as a corporation want to start diving deeper into. So capital planning, I don't know if you guys realize this or understood this, and maybe it's just general knowledge or maybe it's not, I don't know. IBM utilizes our own software. IBM has a client zero. It's our global real estate entity within IBM. They utilize Maximo. They utilize Tririga. So we use our own software throughout IBM. And because of that, they also utilize our capital project planning solution as well. They've given us great feedback around enhancements, around tweaks that we could do to our capital planning. So the good and the bad is they have us on speed dial. That's not great, but the good part of it is the fact that they give us great ideas because they're utilizing it. They can go on a meeting with us anytime that they want and give us that powerful feedback because they're customers. They are customers that utilize our software. So we have gotten quite a bit of our capital projects and our facility condition assessments that's going into our 9.2 out of our GRE team. So operate. Operate is probably where the majority of us are sitting today. Operate is the EAM solution that you guys are very familiar with. This is all around your assets, your locations, your job plans, your PMs, your working, your service requests. This is the operation of the application suite itself. Within EAM or within even Tririga, it is the operate portion. So in the application suite, and as we build out the new applications, we created a new platform called the Maximo Application Framework. So the Maximo Application Framework is where our new dashboards were created from, where our Maximo Mobile solutions were created from. So anything new that is going into Maximo is created with the Maximo Application Framework. Now, because it's Maximo, it's also configurable. So how do I configure these new applications in the application suite itself? So just like App Designer that you would have saw in EAM, in Manage, this is somewhat like that as well, that as we built out all of these new applications, we're also building out this designer, this application configuration, for you to go in and configure your applications. So this is what the application framework, when we go into 9.2, you're going to see enhancements with the drag and drop capabilities, with full screen rendering and attribute lookups. In 9.1, it is now part of the application suite. It sits at the MAZ level. Previous versions to that, it would have been outside the application suite. You would have had to install a Docker solution and do all of your configurations and then bring it in. Now it is just part of the application suite itself. It is based upon security groups. You give them access to it, and then they'll see it in their left-hand nav bar. So you don't have to go and do something else in order to configure your applications anymore. So asset and work registry is really around your operational dashboards. We started operational dashboards, I'm going to see in the 8-9 time frame for the application suite. Operational dashboards are, I'm going to say, our new landing page. So if you're familiar with start centers, this is operational dashboard. So operational dashboard are your KPIs, your favorites, your charting, where I land in the application suite in the morning. What do I need to look at? What do I need to understand? Now, in 9.1, we moved operational dashboards to the MAZ level. So again, they're no longer just under Manage, they're at the MAZ level, and you can utilize operational dashboards at the MAZ level. You'll also see, as I talk through a lot of our new solutions, I'm going to be talking about so-and-so has a new dashboard, so-and-so has a new dashboard. They're basically operational dashboards, but they're specific feature functionality to the emissions management, or their specific feature functionality to maintenance cost insights, et cetera. So dashboards is really an area that we're building out. And then once you have that view from a dashboard, you can then drill into the information itself. You might be drilling into a classic application in Maximo, but, or if we, as we build out these classic applications, you might be drilling into a new application framework piece of code. But anyways, You're going to see more and more of us talk about operational dashboards and how operational dashboards land. So moving to the application suite, kind of where I was going here, was this is where I would say if you have start centers, start looking at operational dashboards in the application suite and how you can build those out for yourself or your users. Going back to the idea portal and the ideas that come into us and that we review, there was a lot of ideas that came to us from a start center perspective. And just because of the technology of the start centers and what our classic applications were, we couldn't do a lot of those, I'm going to say, enhancement requests around start centers. What we could, though, do is look at all of those enhancement requests and look at the operational dashboards and see how we can bring them into the operational dashboard. We had requests around tables and columns and personalization and paging. All of those are all part of the operational dashboards themselves. So even though we may have denied an idea that would have came in around something on the Start Center, we would have taken that idea and then we would have applied it to the operational dashboard. So that's where you're going to see enhancements and modernization is in the operational dashboard. So again, moving to the application suite, start centers are still there. You can still utilize start centers, but I recommend starting to look at operational dashboards as the way to go into the future. So field service management. So I think Stan and Joao touched around field service management. Field service management, again, is a combination of solutions within the application suite that you have access to. They are our scheduling applications, they are our mobile applications, there are mapping applications. Underlying, they take care of our crews, our labors. There's a lot going into field service management and how you do field service management. So we built out in the application suite new dashboards around scheduling, around dispatching, and a new one in 9.1 was planning. So we built out all of these new dashboards, again, utilizing the Maximo Application Framework that you can go in and start looking and configuring and doing what you want for them. Now, these applications do utilize Optimiser. So Optimiser is, I'm going to say, a modeling of it goes in and looks at your work orders, looks at your skill set, look at the availability of your laborers or crews based upon certain constraints. It's going to do all of that work for you instead of you manually trying to assign work. Or if an emergent work comes in, who's around, who has a skill set, you can utilize Optimiser in order to do all of that work for you, saving time, being more efficient. So that is what the scheduling solution does. And we have, I'm going to say, enhanced all of those solutions based upon feedback, based upon performance, based upon tweaking the models in every release. So moving forward, you're going to see tweaking of the optimization models and bringing crews into mobility. So a lot of that going into our scheduling products. Maximo Mobile. So Maximo Mobile was a solution that we created quite a few years ago. And we started with our technician application, built that out. Now we have service requests, we have approvals, we have a lot in the inventory. We have inventory counting, issues and transfers, receiving. We have a lot of mobile applications out there. They're offline and they're online, they're configurable. So what you see in the mobile applications, if you have access to the technician application, you also have access to the technician application in the left-hand nav bar. It's the same application. One, however, you can download to your mobile device and you can go offline. The other one, you can just utilize it from a desktop if you want to. It's the same code base. It is the exact same application itself. What I also wanted to talk about there is the fact that not only do you have access to these, that they are also part of your manage install. It is not a separate install for Maximo Mobile. It is part of your manage install. So there's nothing separate that you have to do from a Maximo Mobile perspective. It is just there. It is just part of your licensing. You give a user access to it. It's just going to be incorporated into their entitlement. It's not a separate licensing model. So from a Maximo Mobile perspective, we also created inspections. So inspections, if you haven't utilized it, this would be an area I would highly recommend you getting familiar with moving into the application suite. Now, it was back in 7.6.1. I believe it was a work center. We started creating inspections way back then. It's just growing, and it's exponentially greater in the application suite itself. And I'm going to be talking about future roadmaps on a lot of the other applications, and inspections is going to come up more and more and more. So it is an area that I highly recommend that you look into, and it's also an area that we have put a lot of investment in the last couple of years. So field service management from a mobile perspective. So from a technician perspective, we're doing allowing technicians to inform availability, defining crew members, reporting non-work time, timesheets, so enhancements to our technician application. You're going to see a lot of enhancements from an inventory, issues and transfer, and receiving perspective. And for some reason, I have a page number in the middle of this slide. I'm not quite sure why. But you're going to see, again, Peter, who is our product manager for inventory and issues and transfers, going to go back to the ideas again. These came out a couple of years ago from a Maximo Mobile perspective, and we've had quite a few customers utilizing them. And, give us the good, the bad, the ugly. We don't care. The more the bad, the ugly it is, the more we know what to fix. And so getting this feedback and getting these ideas is really good for us to understand what it is that you guys require. And Peter got quite a few ideas around the inventory applications from a mobile perspective, and is concentrating a lot around enhancements in the 9.2 timeframe based upon those ideas and based upon the feedback that he got around those mobile applications. And then we're creating a couple of new applications. So whether it's location management, material requests, crew management, timesheets, and asset inspections, MVI. The word inspections is coming up again. So you're going to see a lot of enhancements around the Maximo Mobile perspective. So again, it's just part of your licensing. It is part of Maximo. When you move to the application suite, you have access to this. Now, it's up to you whether or not you want to go offline and then downloading it to your mobile devices and doing that type of technology exchange and data sync, but they can work online as well. Spatial. So Spatial is part, and I group Spatial in with field service management, because if you think about Spatial and you think about field service management and our planning and our scheduling and our dispatching and who does field service management, mapping and Spatial kind of go hand in hand. So we created a new map control with the new application framework a couple of years ago. We refactored that code, I'm going to say in 9.0, made it 80% better. Huge performance issues with Spatial back in 9.0. And so we've just enhanced our Spatial solution, going out there based upon, I'm going to say, more and more feedback, not only from you, our customers, but also more and more when we start talking about our industry solutions and where they're going from a Spatial perspective. We have utilities, so you think about Spatial from a utilities perspective. We have civil infrastructure that is feeding into our requirements, and MVI from a visual inspection that is also feeding into our Spatial roadmap. So smart geofencing. This is whether your entry, exit, this can be used for safety, for hazardous. So having that geo-fencing is an enhancement that we're doing in 9.2. 3D visualization, pretty cool looking at things from a 3D perspective, and linear visual control. So we've had linear assets in Maximo for many years. They just rewrote the control into the application framework, just like they did the map control a couple of years ago. They now did the visual asset control into the new application framework. So that is something that we're looking at. And one thing I should say about the map control and the linear asset control is the fact that not only do they work on desktop, they also work on mobile. So it's the same control. They're not two different controls themselves. It is the same control that works both on the desktop and works on the mobile device. So we're looking at the redesign of the linear asset control. So heat mapping. So again, bringing in heat mapping from a spatial perspective and understanding the context of heat mapping and dynamic layering uploads. So this allows you to, let's say, put a weather layer onto your map and understanding layer onto the maps from a spatial perspective. And then, of course, dynamic sync diagnostics, because you're syncing your data back and forth between Maximo and GIS, making sure that if there are errors, that it's easy to troubleshoot, et cetera. So if you look at a lot of these from a contextual perspective, it's really around visualization. And you might see maybe what we're doing with the operational dashboards, what we've been doing with our scheduling and dispatching applications, what we're doing with spatial and mapping and our visual asset control. Maximo has always been very transactional, and what we're doing with a lot of our modernization is giving you that view of your data in a different context in order for you to have better data insight and a better way of looking at your information and drilling into your information in order for you to make better decision making. So that is what we're trying to do once we build out the application framework. You're going to see more and more of your data, of your information being more visual instead of just transactional. However, under the hood, it's transactional. The data has to be there somewhere. But how do I see that data? How do I represent that data in order for you to gain better insight into it? Health and safety. So health and safety, our HSE, we did, I think it was in 9.0 or even 9.1, an emissions management dashboard. So this is our integration with Envisi, and looking at, from a emissions perspective, all of that information, and it's directly tied to our HSE application. So again, you have access to HSE, Health, Safety, and Environment, in the application suite. If emissions is an area and Envisi is an area that you want to get into, you have access to our HSE solution. Oil and gas and Maximo for HSE. So oil and gas, like I said, it was one of our first industry solutions that we created way back in the early, late 1990s. Oh my God. So I haven't been around that long. So we did in the 9.1 timeframe is really put enhancements into action tracking. We created a new incident reporter mobile application. And we also did enhancements to the defects and the emissions dashboard updates. And you're going to see more and more about updates to dashboards and whatnot from a roadmap perspective. But this was, I'm going to say, not only was oil and gas one of our first industry solutions, oil and gas is one of the first industry solutions that is going into the application framework and is going to start getting that modernization, is one of our first industry solutions that's reaching out into our mobile applications. And you're just going to see more and more growth of our industry solutions going into the application framework and going into the mobile solution. Which brings us to what we're doing in a future release. So adoption of inspections across oil and gas and HSE. So inspections is coming up again. So we're going to be expanding inspections and bringing in oil and gas HSE specific feature functionality into the inspection application. We're looking at performance enhancements. Performance enhancements, I really have to say, we look at all the time, but there's specifically areas in HSE that we want to tweak. Incident processing enhancements, waste management enhancements for hazardous materials, and then more integration with Envisi for carbon calculations. So a lot going in from a 9.2 perspective into oil and gas and into HSE. Civil infrastructure. So civil infrastructure was our last, actually, industry solution, I got to say, that we've actually created. I think it went on market about 7 years ago. We introduced civil infrastructure more for roads and bridges from a civil perspective, and really built out that industry solution around roads and bridges. And if you think about civil also utilizes our linear assets. So roads and moving into the roads and rail. And I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought there. So 9.1, like I said, we came out with civil for roads and bridges. 9.1, we concentrated on rail. So again, that linear asset, that rail. We also concentrated on, in the last couple of releases, bringing MVI, visual inspections, into civil. Because when you start thinking of where civil kind of falls into from a perspective of bridges, a perspective of rail, hard to get to places, drones, imagery, a lot of that really plays a big role into civil infrastructure itself. And so bringing MVI into that solution and understanding the defect inspections and detection, that is where those two play together. And so when we talk to the future, defect enhancements, we're talking linear inspections for defect detection, operational map enhancements, and BIM enhancements. So BIM also plays a role in civil around that 3D model of looking at your assets or bridges or whatever. So you're going to see BIM enhancements if you utilize BIM coming out of the civil infrastructure industry solution. So that is what's going on with civil, and it feeds directly into asset inspections, which is our visual inspections application. You're going to see more and more as we build out visual inspections and as we build out certain solutions within Manage, a seamless integration between the two. They just sort of work together. You start here, you move here, and then you're in Manage and you're doing and taking action against what you saw out in the field. So visual inspections, and if you were at the IBM booth, you probably, hopefully you were all over there, you would have seen visual inspections and actions with the drone. This is what we're going to be talking about here, and the enhancements that we're doing from that perspective. So bringing AI into visual inspections, this is more, I'm going to say, question and answer what went wrong, show me what the last inspection defects were, what is your problems arising. So having that conversation with the imagery and the data that's available from a visual inspection perspective. Custom models, bringing in own custom models themselves in order to utilize them from a visual inspections, and measurements. So measurements is key from a defect perspective. Is it growing? Is it shrinking? What was it doing? You need enhancements around measurements. Asset inspection flow. So this is going back again, how we're integrating and bringing visual inspections into Manage, having the ability now to have access to the asset hierarchy from an MVI perspective. Maximo Mobile. So MVI has a mobile solution. Maximo Mobile will be creating a MVI solution as well. So you're going to see MVI from a Maximo Mobile perspective and utilizing that. Data sync is always important. And then fine-tuning. You know, being able to fine-tune your models, whether your models are concrete or rail, those are the ability to fine-tune those models. Edge improvements, whether it is running models or utilizing Microsoft Windows, and then FSMA and NIST. This is probably more for US federal type of, probably not hitting you guys as well, but we are now compatible and compliant from that perspective. So that's operate. So that's what we're doing with the operate perspective. And so let's go into optimize. So when we look at optimize, we are looking at a certain portion of the application suite around APM, Asset Performance Management. So again, it's built on Manage. In the 9.1 timeframe, a portion of health is actually just part of Manage. I think in 9.0 or 9.1, we came out with some out-of-the-box scoring models, scoring factors, formulas. They are part of Manage. We created a new asset and location dashboard in the 9.1 timeframe that sits at the MAZ-level. You now have access to health KPIs, your assets, those out-of-the-box scoring methodologies that you now have the ability to look at and view in the application suite itself. Now, if you want to edit any of those scoring capabilities or put in some new formulas, you do have to install health. That gives you the ability to edit that information. But out of the box, just as Manage, you do have that underlying feature functionality from a health perspective in your asset and location dashboard. So under APM, not only are we talking about health, we're talking about monitor, we're also talking about predict, and we brought in reliability strategies in the 9.0 timeframe around the strategies themselves around your FEMA. So let's get into what we're doing for APM. So we're going to talk about AI. The trend here, AI is going across the board for all of these feature functionalities. So bringing AI into asset performance management. Configurable asset and location dashboard, and I got a slide next around what that actually means. More models from electrical and transmission, and a lightweight monitoring that scales. We've gotten a lot of feedback around monitor and how heavy of a solution it is. So we're really looking at bringing that back and making it more scalable. So you're going to see improvements around monitor moving forward in 9.2. So a configurable APM dashboard. Like I said, we came out with an asset and location dashboard in 9.1. We're bringing in your reliability strategies, your RCM cards, into the new asset and location dashboard. AI is being brought into this dashboard, and I'll go deeper into how that's being brought in a couple of later slides. Easy configurability. So all of these dashboards, again, have the ability to configure and edit, personalize, so making them configurable for you, and then asset-specific views and calculations. This is really around looking at specific views from an APM perspective in this dashboard that you want to have information to. So this is an area that we're looking at enhancing from a 9.2 perspective. And I want to get into reliability strategies and the enhancements that we're bringing into reliability strategies from an RCM perspective. Like I said, this came out a while ago in quite a few releases. And I just want to get the numbers straight here. 800 plus assets, 50,000 failure modes, and that is all available for you in order for you to download reliability strategies and get this right out of the box from that library to utilize right away. And it has the information that is required from a job plan perspective, from a PM perspective for all of these assets. So what's coming in 9.2, and I'm not going to dive into every word that is on this slide, but you're going to see enhancements around the job plan and the PM support. You're going to be an implementation dashboard, kind of going back to that asset and location dashboard I was talking about, bringing RCM into that type of dashboard. An enhanced FEMA builder, advanced strategies, meter support, risk matrices, and there's so much more that we're doing from a reliability strategy perspective that's coming into the 9.2 timeframe. So again, this is an add-on to manage. You have access to it as part of your catalog in the application suite that you can download and implement and take advantage of right away. So asset class solutions. Asset class solutions, I'm just going to dive right into it. We basically, introduced real estate and facilities, Tririga. Tririga is now part of the application suite. So you now have those type of assets within the application suite itself. And so it is an area that we are highly invested in from as we build out the application suite. One of the areas that we keep on getting asked is, well, we have real estate and facilities over here, we have manage over here. How do we communicate the two? How do I take advantage of the capabilities of either or solution? So we're coming out with out-of-the-box integrations. We're going to start with locations first, then we're going to move into assets, then we're going to move into work orders and service requests. So there's going to be out-of-the-box integrations going back and forth between the two solutions. They're also going to be configurable because and I know nobody just utilizes Maximo or Tririga real estate and facilities out of the box. You guys always add your own attributes to it because that's what the advantage of utilizing our enterprise solutions are. So if you need those fields going back and forth as part of this integration, that integration is going to be configurable as well. It's also going to be bi-directional. You can start with manage and go to real estate and facilities. You can start with real estate and facilities, go to manage. Once they're both populated, we can populate both of those applications in real time. So that is what we're working on. You're going to see us, like I said, if you want to look at and take advantage of some of these integrations, we have what you call a feature channel. And I don't know if we've talked, maybe last year I talked about the feature channel. This is where you get a preview of feature functionality prior to a release. So every month we release feature functionality into a feature channel that you can download into your non-prod environment and you can review it. It's the accumulation of all these feature channels that come out into our 9.2 release. If you are interested in the integration and looking at real estate and facilities and looking at manage and that integration between the two, probably by the January feature channel, you're going to see the locations. Month after that, assets, by the end of it, you're going to have work orders, et cetera. So something to keep in mind. So real estate and facilities, for those that are moving to the application suite, we came out with a migration tool. September patch? August patch? September patch, I think. It's available now that you can basically utilize from a TAS or Tririga perspective moving into the application suite. So we have a migration tool for that. And we're also looking at new tooling on improving your upgrade procedures for Tririga moving into the application suite as well. So those are all about migrations, but what about feature functionality of real estate and facilities? So lease accounting is an area that Tririga Real Estate and Facilities excel at. So an AI perspective, we are putting in lease abstraction. So if you think about leasing and all the documentation and all of that information out there, how can I look at it and abstract from it and gain information from it? So lease abstraction is one of our new AIs that are coming in. And then we're looking at data integrity for lease edits, especially during the month-end period. Save time for bulk form downloads and maintain operational continuity by managing rent payments. So a lot around lease abstraction, lease management. And so I want to pause there because most of our customers in this room started with EAM, started with manage. If you are a corporation that also does leasing, and then I'm going to go into space management, this is also an area that, again, real estate and facilities as part of the application suite, you can take advantage of. You can take advantage of this application. It may not be you in the room, but I bet you as a corporation, it might be something that you deal with, and it might be something that you want to inform your colleagues about from a lease perspective or a space management perspective. So we're doing some space management and reserve. We utilize this a lot in IBM. When we have to reserve our meeting rooms, that's what we utilize. We utilize real estate, Tririga, reserve. So this is basically all around, moving one person from one office to another, or I need this meeting room for the next 2 hours for the day, et cetera. That's space management and reserve. And so if that's something, again, your corporation utilizes and does, that's where real estate and facilities can come into play to expand your usage of the application suite. So what we're looking at here is more space planning tools, enhancements with the floor plan markup. If you think about movement and space management, a lot of people want to mark up their diagrams and whatnot, so bringing that in and that information into real estate and facilities. Improving efficiencies with Reserve, with Outlook, that was a big one. A lot of our customers, even IBM, utilizes Outlook, so incorporating that into the space management and reserve. And again, enhancements to BIM. So you saw enhancements to BIM over on the managed side. We're also doing enhancements to BIM over on the real estate and facility side. We have one product manager that actually does the BIM enhancements. So as we build out both of these solutions, you'll see that our BIM control is going to merge, I'm going to say, to be more similar. Just like we have a linear asset control, a map control, you're going to see a BIM control. That's going to be very, very similar as well, strategically speaking, as we move forward. IT. So that was facilities management assets. Let's talk about assets for IT. So Maximo IT became part of the application suite, I believe, in 8.9. So this history here was IBM Control Desk. Came into the application suite because we like rebranding everything and became Maximo IT. So again, it is an add-on to the application suite, managed specifically, and they're doing a lot around the IT perspective. A lot of IT is around service desk and service requests that come in from an IT perspective. And so what they have done in the 9.1 timeframe is brought in AI from a similarity perspective to understand what service requests that are coming in that are similar and how can I route them and combine them, et cetera. So they've really done a lot of work from an AI perspective in the IT time frame itself from a service request perspective. So they've also added, I'm just reading through here, you can tell not all of these are my solutions, so I get fed these slides. So I'm just looking at some of these. Intuitive and simple offering creation integrations to systems for networking and security, improve software tracking And service management, again, AI summarization for service requests and incidents. I think they must be enhancing what they already introduced in the 9.1 timeframe. And so more and more feature functionality from a Maximo IT perspective. Just looking at the time here. Okay, renewables. So renewables was I'm going to say 2 years ago, we acquired Persenco, we renamed it Renewables, and we integrated it with the Maximo Application Suite. So renewables is all about solar and wind, those renewable energies. So bringing that into the application suite, we have enhanced the data digestion. We've enhanced our dashboards for wind and basically solar dashboard enhancements. So a lot of enhancements from that perspective. So that is our Maximo Renewables. That is a SaaS solution, by the way, and I should probably highlight that some of these solutions that I'm talking about are not all on-prem solutions. Most of that I've talked about so far. I think all of them. I think reliability strategies, you can download your assets and whatnot. That's a SaaS solution that you can just download. It doesn't necessarily cost you anything. But from a Maximo Renewables perspective, it is a SaaS solution. So if you're on-prem, it would be somewhat of a hybrid solution, so something to keep in mind sometimes when I talk about the application suite. Some of these are SaaS-first solutions and will never be on-prem that you can bring down into your environment, and renewables is one of them. Another one is Veg Management. So Veg Management is available now. It just came out in our September patch for 9.1. It is another SaaS solution. It's looking at LiDAR imagery, and I think all of us can relate to Veg Management. All of us have probably driven down a road that has overgrown, or you look at trees from a utility line perspective that you're going, there's something going to happen here soon. So that's all around Veg Management. So you do your LiDAR imagery. It has a direct integration into Maximo. You have a dashboard for Veg Management for looking at all of this information, and then you can take action around the imagery that you have, whether or not you now have to go out and do an inspection, whether or not you have to go out and actually do work. All of that is integrated seamlessly with Manage specifically in order for you to get results from a Veg Management perspective. AI. So AI, I've highlighted areas of AI in other solutions, and then I'm going to dive deeper into what we delivered and where we're going to go. But you would have saw AI from a real estate and facilities perspective for lease abstraction. You would have saw AI from a Maximo IT perspective where it came to service requests and similarities from that perspective. So let's dive deeper into AI from a Maximo perspective of what we delivered in 9.1. So work order intelligence came out in 9.0. This is about your failure and problem codes that we delivered. Similarity tracking. So this was, I'm going to say, somewhat like we delivered for Maximo IT, similarity tracking from a ticket and task perspective, a like problem that we delivered in 9.1, our FEMA builder around reliability strategies, bringing in that builder into our failure mode, and effect analysis. You know, one of the staggering amounts of building out your FEMA was we went from like 100 minutes, what was the hour? Hundreds of hours to minutes. And that's what really AI and the efficiency of AI can bring to you from that perspective. And then Maximo Assistant. I think this is probably what most of your end users are probably going to enjoy from a Maximo AI perspective, because it is a natural language AI that you can go in and type in, how many work orders are overdue. Out of those overdue work orders, what are our high priorities, et cetera. You can just drill into that information. You don't really care what the object structure is, what the attributes are. I don't have to build a SQL statement. I'm just an end user. I have no clue what any of that is underneath the hood. I just want to know what are my overdue work orders and what are my highest priority work orders. And it's just a natural language type of assistant that you can utilize within Maximo itself, and that was delivered in the 9/1 timeframe. Again, work order classifications around your problem code. And one of the things or the areas here is I want to highlight is that transparency in Maximo when AI is being utilized. So you have the ability to know that this field was populated based upon AI recommendations, not a manual field that you entered in yourself, but transparency that AI actually populated that field. So that's one thing that you should be aware of, that you're going to have an icon or a pop-up that AI had populated that field, so it's a transparency perspective from that idea. So similarity, again, we really dove into the ticket use case around similarity and assigning work and whatnot in the 9/1 timeframe. We also did, like I said, that assistant, and that's just going to improve more and more the assistant as we go forward and as we bring it into other applications. And speaking of other applications for the assistant is really mobile. Taking that assistant and bringing it down to the mobile, because chances are majority of your workforce are probably mobile users. And so how do you bring that assistant and that queries down into the hands of your technicians or your mobile users to ask questions? And then questions and answers is really the next phase of, I'm going to say, where we're going from an AI perspective and agentic workflows. And then I'm going to say we're delivering these across the board. It's not just in one area we're concentrating on AI. You even saw it, we're bringing AI into, work order tracking. We brought AI into lease abstraction. We brought AI into Maximo IT. We're bringing AI into condition-based monitoring and assets. You're going to see AI really go across the board, not into very specific areas itself. So from an AI agent for condition-based maintenance, so this is an area that we're looking at from a 9.2 perspective, is around insight into the condition. So when I talk about condition, and going back to the asset, and maybe I should make a better story here of what this is from a CBM perspective, I created the asset and location dashboard. I am doing enhancements around that asset and condition location dashboard. How do I now gain insight from that data, the strategy, the history, the alerts, the meters that are all coming in there? So having insight into it, having my advisor for RCM on that dashboard, smart alerts, whether that's coming in from Monitor, what are my smart alerts that are coming in, and then work order automation is taking all of this insight, taking all of this data, and then doing actions against them. Because at the end of the day, all of this data is great, but if you don't take action against it, you're not moving forward. So what is that action that can take place based upon all of this information that we're giving you? And then AI assistant integration. Again, making sure that the assistant is there utilizing and working for you. So this is just kind of a screenshot of condition insights. Basically, you have the ability now to go in and look at that, and then it's going to give you insights based upon the information on the asset and location dashboard, and then you have the ability, and it's going to give you recommendations, and then you take action against those. Okay, I'm just going to do a couple of technical updates. So I've got through feature functionality. Now I'm going to go and take a deep breath around technical updates that are coming for the 9.2 timeframe. So MongoDB is still around. It's still part of MAZ. I believe MongoDB is also MVI. And we're moving into 8.0. We're going to be doing CP4D 5.2 support. And you're also going to see at the MAZ level, if you've been utilizing our license consumption dashboard, you're going to see improvements around the license consumption dashboard in the 9.2 timeframe as well. From an application perspective, both manage and real estate and facilities, DB212 support is coming up. So we're going to be supporting DB212 in the 9.2 timeframe. Oracle 26 AI, if you ever saw any of my roadmaps, you would have saw 23 AI. Oracle, just a couple of weeks ago, renamed 23 AI to 26 AI, and still haven't given me an on-prem date. So I'm putting this in quotes that we may or may not have Oracle 26 AI support in 9.2. I don't know yet. I don't know when Oracle's actually going to deliver their on-prem long-term solution. So we're going to keep on trucking with 19C for both real estate and facilities and for manage, and then whenever Oracle makes up their mind, we'll move forward on it, and it's now called 26 AI, just an FYI. And then we're also upgrading to Java 21. Java 25 came out in September. I don't know if BERT is compatible with Java 25 yet. So we're going to be doing some testing. And so depending on what BERT is compatible with, we're either moving to 21 or we're jumping right to 25. So stay tuned on that statement from a Java perspective moving forward. And then upgrading BERT to 4.21. Joe, you're going to see this more and more. Just because of security vulnerabilities, we have to stay attuned to our BERT upgrades because they are addressing a lot of the security vulnerabilities that, obviously, as an enterprise solution, we have to address as well. User management updates. I'm not sure if you guys were aware, in 9.1, we created a new user management application and a new security application. They're sitting at the MAZ level. Underneath the hood is manage. So whether or not your database is Oracle or SQL or DB2, the user database is now managed. We got a lot of feedback that it used to be MongoDB, and a lot of people had a lot of headaches with that. It's now query. It's now you can run reports against it. You can do whatever. Under the hood, it's just the manage database. What we also created in 9.1 is that transparency. We had a lot of feedback around the fact that you brought all of your users over from EAM into the application suite. We would run our logic, and then all of a sudden, they were limited or base or premium. You had no idea why. You had no idea why we determined that entitlement was base versus premium versus limited, or if I changed something, what that change and that impact of that change would be. We gave you that transparency in 9.1 that, as soon as you create security groups against that user, we will tell you whether or not it's limited, base, or premium based upon the security group access and accumulation of those security group accesses are. And then when you create security groups, we'll also tell you based upon how those security groups were created, whether or not that security group was limited, base, or premium. And it gives you an explanation why we determined it was what it was. In the 9.2 timeframe, I'll take a step back before I say 9.2 timeframe. In 9.1, you are going to see a user management application at the MAZ level, and you're going to see a user management application at the manage level. Same with security groups. We haven't deprecated all of the feature functionality at the manage level yet in order to remove those applications. So if you're looking for certain feature functionality that is manage specific, you will have to go into the manage application and look for that feature functionality. However, what the new applications give you, once you've set up those users and once you set up that security group, is that transparency, whether or not it is limited, base, or premium. And so what we're trying to do in the 9.2 timeframe, and it's going to filter into 9.3, is slowly deprecate those manage applications and move everything to the MAZ application. And we're just going to slowly take feature and start moving it in. So you're going to see that half and half split coming into 9.2, and chances are in 9.3 as well. So with that, I'm at Q&A. That was a lot. That was a bit of a fire hose of information. Thank you guys so much for staying awake while I gave you all of that information. I appreciate it. It was a lot. So we have, I think it says here I have about 10, 15 minutes for Q&A.
Thank you very much for your presentation. Very informative for us, actually.
Excellent.
Yeah. Still, for me, it's actually, I've got a gap here. Might be mistaken for me. You just need to clarify as well. In some cases, for example, like the oil and the gas applications, right? Most of the application here or the surface actually is driven by the inspection data or the maintenance strategies for the streamline the workflow for, right? But in oil and gas, some much concern about the risk itself of the equipment. For example, the pressure vessels, storage tanks, and so on. Even we are technical professional engineers, we've got the inspection data, but we cannot make the decision whether we would actually bring back the equipment to the service unless it should go through the fitness for service as per the code. That's a statutory compliance. But here, I didn't realize it in here. It's only from the inspection data and the management of the maintenance work, by more or less, right? Where is it a lack of the process for on Maximo for fitness for service to be considered part of the asset integrity itself when we actually manage the work, the maintenance work or the maintenance tactics, or where I didn't see it actually.
The
fitness for service.
Fitness for service.
Yeah.
Ravi, where are you in the room? Are you in the room? No? Okay, he didn't want to listen to me, I guess. Ravi will be able to tell you, I'm not sure from an oil and gas HSE perspective if they have something specifically in that application for that.
That's API codes, for example, 579 and fitness for service codes, and so many, and should be applicable also for the rest of the services. So I'll just give you an example for a case, actually. That's it.
Yeah, I apologize. I won't be able to.
No, that's okay.
Yeah.
I can take it off.
Yeah. Ravi is around here somewhere. He can dive into those specific.
All right. Thank you very much.
Yeah, no problem. I don't know if I want this.
Ravi's gone to the pub. He's not here. With the Q&A section, are we saying that the FEMA builder is at the point where it can consume OEM manuals, etc., to help build out those reliability strategies, or help with tradesmen in the mobile space for solutions where they can use AI to review OEM manuals, etc.?
Was there two questions?
Kind of.
Yeah. So the FEMA builder is going to help you build those out based upon the strategies of assets that we only gave you 800 assets. If you have another asset class you want to build out and you want to put strategies against it, that's what the FEMA builder is going to help you do.
I'm saying is the AI tool able to consume PDFs from the OEMs?
I believe it is. I believe it can take all of that information and all of that data
9.2?
and then build it.
That's the idea for
9.1. I think it's actually a 9.1 with the FEMA builder.
Okay.
Yeah, I actually think it's a 9.1. And then what was your second?
From a mobile section, you brought up Q&A where the technicians are able.
Yeah. Yeah.
Using the AI chatbot, can that also rely on OEM manuals, et cetera, as a part of the...
If it's downloaded. Don't forget, it depends on what information you have on your mobile device for them to have access to in order to get that information.
But in theory, it could then.
In theory, it could, yeah, yeah.
Hi, just wanted to confirm around security groups and users. I think I heard it correctly. Did you say that for the first time in a very long time, Maximo will now determine what the user entitlement is systematically rather than the customer or business
Yes,
owner?
it does. Isn't that amazing?
Round of applause, everybody.
Isn't that is amazing? Yes. So based upon you create your security group, and based upon the access you gave that security group, we're going to determine that security group is a limited security group. From that perspective, if you give your end user access to that security group, that by default is going to be a limited user. Now, if you go in and change and give that same user access to a base security group, we're automatically going to calculate that user, and that user is going to be a base user, and you're going to know about it right away because maybe you made a mistake. Maybe you selected all of these 20 users and gave them access to a security group that all of a sudden these limited users are now premium. You know, like we'll give you that calculation, and then you can determine whether or not you're going to save it or not save it.
For me, that's a 17-year pain point. I really...
Finally!
Well done, thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions? No? Okay, well, I'm around till the end of the day, so tap me on the shoulder if you have any other further questions. Thank you very much.